know.
But it's interesting because people, I have people sometimes reach out to me when I do things like this and email me or text me, and they're people like, hey, I heard your story, and wow, what a cool career, and how do I start that journey? Like, you got to start the hard way. I started as a screen printer. I started cleaning screens and reclaiming and cleaning squeegees. It sucks. Yeah. But that's how I started, and then I became a printer, and then printed on an auto, then head printer, then production. You just really got to love what you do.
We live below the fold. We live underneath those incredible brands.
What is the vision? Right? So like there's a story, but then it's like, where are you trying to go? If it's compelling enough, then you start to get people to believe in it.
Okay, our next guest joins us all the way from the place where everything is bigger, right? Texas.
Pretty much, yeah. Based in Austin, Texas.
We have up Tim Gibson, super long friend of ours, industry vet. We're going to talk a lot about the new company that you're with and how the industry is moving, what the trajectory is. So much to talk about. We already dove in too quick, but Tim, welcome. Thanks for joining us here in Chicago.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always good to be here. Yeah. Long-time friends with you guys.
Long-time homie, for sure.
Yeah, and just watching your growth has been pretty amazing.
Thank you. I want to start off with just like tell the audience your background, how you started. I love your story. We were just talking about like you're just a little old printer like us, prior, but then have taken this incredible path and then, ended up where you are. But take us on the journey. Tell us. Yeah. Tell us
we
the
should
story.
say congrats because you're at the president level now.
Yes.
Right? I made a mistake and called him a VP and he's like, wait a minute, slow down, man.
Hey, you saw my email. Yeah. You saw my signature.
El Presidente. So walk us through the journey from how it started to being a president now.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of us in our industry, I was a musician, and long hair, tattoos, the usual story, and was working my way through college. I was going to college to be a sound engineer and do audio production.
Sounds riveting.
Yeah. So found this crazy guy that would hire me. His name was Eric, and the company was called Ink in Petaluma, California, Northern California.
It's actually a good name.
Yeah.
That's a really good name.
INK.
That's a great name.
Yeah. So he only hired musicians.
Okay.
So that was kind of, he was also a musician. He had long hair. Mm-hmm. So the interview was you would come in, and the whole rest of the team, all the other printers, would sit there with, and they would size you up, and they'd look, okay, you got tattoos, you play guitar, you play drums, what do you do, And if you say I'm a guitar player, they'll hand you a guitar and say, let me see you play something.
Here, go play, go hit.
Yeah, so you better know how to play. You can't lie and say you're a musician.
Why do you think he was going after that type of person?
I can tell you.
What qualities does that bring out?
Yeah, he believes, and I still believe this today, that artists and musicians tend to care more about their work and the quality of the work. So, a lot of printers that'll just print it. If it's out of reg, it's like, it's good enough, let it go. If you're a creative or a musician or an artist, you want to make sure it looks as good as it can possibly look, And we did care, we all did. And he gave us a place to play music next door in the warehouse. Like, you guys just kicked out that wall there. Like, he had something similar, but it was all gear. So we had drum kit, full backline, so we could go jam after we were done printing all day. And it was just a great place to work. And if you had to go on tour and you were in a touring band, you could leave and you'd still have your job when you got back.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's where you kicked it off.
That's where I started.
Yeah.
And then I became a production manager there. Then a large shop production manager. I worked for Winterland for a period in San Francisco, which, Frank.
We're very familiar with that.
Those guys.
Yeah.
And so I was there for a number of years, and then back to a brand called Lifeforms International. It was a retail brand, had a little whale tail on the, it was kind of the logo. So worked for them for quite a while.
I got to pause you at Winterland.
Yeah.
Give me just a brief tell me a little bit more about Winterland. Like, what is your
what's your
some
biggest-
stuff I
biggest
can't
takeaway?
say.
no? What's your fondest memory, right, of Winterland? I can't just brush over that
Right.
Is this
transition.
PG or?
No, this is 100% rated the internet.
I don't want to share too much, but it was a very fun place to work. As you can imagine, it was
we imagine.
late 80s, early 90s, all music merch. Was not uncommon for there to be little breakout party sessions in the bathroom,
Yeah.
things like that.
Stay efficient.
But huge facility, you
Yeah.
know, and like if you were loading the auto, there would be like a train track, kind of a track system,
Yep.
where you'd finish that cart, somebody pull out in there, another car would just be loaded as high as you could reach if you were loading an auto.
Wow.
So it was very efficient actually, and the setup process was very pit crew like, as it should be, as it is today. But for them back then, they were way ahead of that as far as like efficiencies and setup times and things like that. But just getting to see all the cool art and just like you guys, if you walk through culture, you see it's like a who's who of artists, and it was a lot of fun to work there.
Yeah, I can imagine, the craft of the design and the garment and, the substrate coming together to make a beautiful piece that would, commemorate a concert or an event or something like that. Very often is lost in like the digital age of just like pumping more design, give more design, more product, more design, more product. So we're always admiring the days of Winterland, and of course Frankie V, who we've
Conti.
Uncle Frankie.
Frankie, we've asked him to join us to really dive back, and I know he's going to get there. He's
He'd
almost
have way better stories than me.
Yeah, he's almost ready to just open up Pandora's box and tell us everything about that era.
We'll get him.
But yeah, go ahead. You can keep fast forwarding.
Well, Bill Graham owned Winterland, so you can imagine, and he was the guy. Like there was really nobody else doing tour merch back then other than Winterland, because nobody wanted to mess with the logistics, the things that you guys deal with today. You know,
The churn and burn.
and even worse back then because everybody was high on drugs and drunk.
Yeah.
It was a party.
Here we
I
have
mean,
HR rules, right? Like it's not, now it's all the bad with none of the fun. What do you know? Can you imagine?
Yeah, today's backstage looks a lot different than the backstages back in those days. But,
Today's backstage has like organic products and
kombucha.
like water that is not in plastic.
Gluten free.
Gluten free. Yeah, it's very different. But anyway, so after being in production, I would see the sales guys come cruising in their Mercedes and Beamers, show up at noon, hey Tim, is my order ready, bro? I'd be like, fuck you, man. I've been here since 6 a.m. and I'm here till 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, I got to do what those guys do.
Yep.
And so one of the sales guys at a company I work at, back in Ink actually, he said, you should be in sales, man. You've got the personality, the technical part of it. You'd be great. And so we went in and we told Eric, we said, he kind of took me under his arm. He was my mentor. And he said, Tim's going to be in sales. I'm going to mentor him. And he said, absolutely not. There's no way. He's the best production manager I ever had. Can't lose him. I go, dude, I got to make more money, man. There's a ceiling at production manager. There's a value, and it's a very important job.
Yeah.
You hit a ceiling, and by then I had kids and a family, and needed to make more money.
Yeah.
And so he said, Peter said, you probably have to cut your hair, and because back, it was probably
Make yourself look
more
presentable.
90s, 90s, and hide your tattoos and all. I was like, that's cool, man. So I did that. So Eric said, I'll tell you what, I'll let you 1 day a week. You can go out, and I'm not giving you any leads. I'm not giving you anything. I'm giving you some cards, and which basically at then was a Sanmar catalog and some samples. You hit the road, and you'll be begging for your job back as production manager. And you train your assistant to be my new production manager, but you're going to hate it. Like, it's way harder than you think. I was like, I ain't scared.
Right.
He wasn't lying though.
Well, it's stability
He was
versus
right.
Yeah, he was
Sales
the unknown.
is hard.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain personality to do it, So I did. I just grinded. This is in the Bay Area. So I just started cold calling everybody. You know, at the time I had a little Toyota Celica, I think it was, just loaded with samples, and I would just knock on doors, right? So at the time, the .com era was really popping in the Bay Area. So I went to Intel, right? Literally walked into the office at Intel, right? Receptionist, I said, "Here, I'm here to see your marketing director." She was like, "Do you have an appointment?" I said, "I do, but God, what was her name?" She's like, "Oh, Marcy." I go, "Yeah."
With Marcy.
That's the one.
I lied like any salesperson does, right? To get to the right person.
Sure.
Yep.
And so she came out and she said, "Hi, I'm Marcy. Do you have an appointment?" I said, "I thought we did." Then she started getting into me. She's like, "This dude,
This
right?"
sales guy.
And, but I had all these shirts in my hand. She goes, "All right, what do you do? Give me your pick." I said, "We're a screen printer embroiderer. We do custom screen printing embroidery." She said, "You know what? It's your lucky day. We're getting ready to do a product launch.
Oh, nice.
Come on back in my office and I'm going to show you what we're doing." And she said, "Can you do 20,000 of these in like 4 days?" I said, "Yes."
Sure.
Not even knowing or talking to my production team.
Like a true salesperson.
Like a true
right?
salesperson.
Got the opportunity.
Yeah, so I was so excited. I came back, and yeah, my first big order was 20,000 pieces for
Wow.
Intel.
There
All
you
right.
go.
And Eric said, "Beginner's luck, man. You know, can you do it again?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm gonna keep trying. You know." So same thing. Only one day a week he would let me go out. The rest of the time I had to do production. The next week, Adobe, who was not far from Intel.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did the same thing at Adobe.
Same strategy.
Run the
Same
playbook.
strategy.
Run the playbook.
50,000 piece order. Full color process, like true CMYK with a couple spot colors.
There you go.
50,000 piece order.
Nice.
So I came back to the office with that PO, and Eric's like, "Tim's in sales now."
Yeah.
You're officially a salesperson
Yeah.
now.
He's in sales. So
Yeah.
that's how my salesperson journey started.
All right.
And then, yeah, after selling screen printing embroidery, moved to Vegas, went to work for Reebok as a licensed apparel rep for Reebok. Then they decided to close their printing facility, which was in Vegas at the time, and asked me to move back to Indianapolis, which I was like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm not
Best
moving
place on earth.
Because that was SLD, right? Is the Indianapolis
Yes.
plant? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the
Adidas?
time,
Yeah, Adidas,
Yes.
Reebok.
yeah, it
you
was
know,
Adidas, Reebok, Logo
sports
7.
license division, whatever. You know that name that they
Right.
kind of threw out there.
Yeah.
Is that still active? You know, is that
I think
as
so.
big as
I
it
think
always
it's still
was?
owned by- I think
it
We've been
is.
there.
Yeah.
Like
It was cool.
Adidas
Yeah.
is the right way they tell
Yeah.
you to say it.
Adidas.
That was
Yeah.
it's a big factory.
It
It's a
is,
really big one.
but at the time, I just bought a new house, and I was living in Vegas. You know,
Yeah,
I'm like,
who
I'm not
wouldn't?
leaving to move to
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
Vegas,
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
It's a little bit of a different switch, right? Just a little
Yeah.
different.
So there was a big PPD, a promotional product company called Spec Pro, and they had heard my name a bunch of times, and they said, "We hear that you're not wanting to move, and we're trying to build a team here and grow." And at the time, they were the biggest promotional company in Vegas. They were doing all the casino stuff, and I already had all relationships with all the buyers because license, they had to buy it from Reebok if they wanted official Super Bowl merch or NFL. At the time, Reebok had the license, so I had good relationships. So I went to work for them and helped them build their sales team. That was about 4 years I was with them, to the point where I started outselling them, the two owners. They'd be out golfing all day, and I'd just be out grinding on the strip, just bringing back big fat POs,
Nice.
And so by then I'm like, do I really need these guys? I think I could do this myself. Because all they were for me was a bank.
Yep.
They financed my orders.
Right.
Like, I had all the relationships. At that point, I had overseas direct relationships with factories, and like the robes you would get at MGM or Bellagio, that was all me.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I was importing all of that, big,
Okay.
huge POs, So I thought, you know what, I can do this on my own, But I told him, I said, why don't you guys make me a partner? I want to own part of this. I was young and ambitious and cocky, and the same thing we all are at that.
It doesn't
point.
hurt to ask.
It doesn't.
Right?
They were like, owner? Oh, I don't know, dude.
gotta
We
be
love
okay.
you, man, but we don't love you that much,
Yeah.
And we've been, in business for 20 years. I go, well, I'm outselling both of you. So, and then they gave me a good percentage. But again, I was greedy. I wanted more. I wanted to own something.
Yep.
So I gave him an ultimatum. I said, I'll give you till November, and either make me a partner or I'm leaving, and I'm taking my $20 million of business with me. Wow. And they were like, okay. Like, sure. You think it's easy? Like, you can just go do this on your own? I said, yeah, I do, actually. Yeah. And so they thought I was bluffing. So in between that time, I met with all my customers, all my buyers, and I said, so I'm thinking about starting my own thing called the Marketing Group, which is my initials, Timothy Michael Gibson. Mm-hmm. It's like a TM, like a trademark, and then a G.
Nice.
Okay. And I said, if I do this, are you with me? Like, are you with me? And they're like, 100%, man. Like, we don't care about them. We buy from you because you're you, and you're creative, and you know, that's a big part of that job, is being creative. When somebody comes to you with a budget and a theme, you know, what are you going to do? You know, and in a promotional, there's only so many things. How many pens or mugs can you do?
Yeah.
You have to think out of the box.
Yep.
So
how many lanyards can you do there?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the day came, and by then I had locked up all my relationships. I had a credit line with my bank. I was ready to go. I was locked and loaded, you know. But I still wanted to give him an opportunity, you know. And so I went in, and right before that meeting, I was at, can I say Mandalay Bay? I guess I'll say it, Mandalay Bay. Anyway, I was there, and my buyer had a really large PO for slippers, all the slippers for all the MGM properties. It was like 500,000 slippers or something like that.
500,000 pairs.
Pairs, yeah.
Wow.
It's for the year,
Okay.
basically, like a year supply. So she goes, hey, you want me to make this PO out to Spec Pro or the Marketing Group? I said, you know, why don't you make that out to the Marketing Group?
Let's go with the Marketing Group.
I didn't even know how I was going to finance it if I actually got the order, but I got it, you know. And so she did. She made it out to the Marketing Group, right? So I had it in my back pocket. So I go in and I meet with the Spec Pro guys. I said, you guys think about my proposal? And they said, yeah, you know, we talked about it, man, and yeah, we can't make you a partner. We can give you an extra 10% or something. I was like, that's cool. So I got up and I walked into my office and started packing my stuff. And they're like, what are you doing? I said, I told you I'm leaving, man. They're like, what do you mean? I said, I told you I'm leaving to do my own thing. Then they started getting angry, like, oh, you think you can come up against us? I said, look at this. Boom. See this? If I don't sell one other thing, I can live off this for at least a year.
Yeah.
Without writing another order.
Right.
Wow.
And they were like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And they knew it was off.
Yeah.
And then
now it's too late, right?
It was too late. Yeah. So I was scared to death, man. I've never owned my own business before.
It's the unknown, right?
Yeah,
Uncharted territory.
Yeah, it's like jumping off a cliff without a safety net.
Yep.
You know. But I was determined, and you know how it is, man. When you're hungry like that, you're like, you don't care. You're like, I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
Brute force.
So I did, and I was working out of my house by myself, and my assistant that was at Spec Pro called and said, I want to come with you. And I'm like, I don't even know if I can afford to pay you yet. Like, she said, I'm in. Like, I said, okay. Like, so she came and joined me, Julia, and we did. We started grinding and we were so busy right out of the gate. She said, we need an office. You know, we got people who want to come in for meetings and a showroom. I said, well, go get us an office, you know. So we moved in to our first office. It was only about 1,500 square feet, but it was just a showroom.
Yep.
But with a bar.
In Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah.
Okay.
So
how far off the strip? Or
probably about 10 minutes off the strip. Like if you went up Flamingo, Spring Mountain Road area.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes.
Nice.
But all the buyers loved coming over because they would party.
Yeah.
Bar set up.
Yeah, we had a martini bar. There'd be music pumping. It was just like, and it just showroom, like just all apparel, hard goods. And they'd be like, I need 5,000 of these and this for this event. And I'd just be like, just writing orders. So
nice.
It was good. When it was good, it was good. When Vegas was popping before the 2008 recession hit, it was good. I had a good run. Mm-hmm. But then that's what happened. 2008, recession, they changed their whole buying method. They started going to a bid system, which was some kind of software they used.
An RFP type thing.
And it was all mandated.
Yeah.
But Vegas was still Vegas, and it was about who you knew. and funny, like most of the CEOs and top brass in Vegas, they're all Italian. Go figure. So strange.
Who would have known?
So, when you would go up to the top floor of Caesars and meet with the top dude,
the boss,
you felt like you were in like a Goodfellas movie or something, but it's very much who kind of town.
Yep.
Sure. And if you're in, you're in. So that was great. So from there, I got stuck with some very large invoices from some casinos that filed Chapter 13. Won't mention any of them, but
Yep.
I was in trouble. Like I was leveraged to the hill, and I had to pay my vendors.
Yep.
At that point, I was doing all direct overseas factories, and you got to pay those guys. They'll come over and cut your head off with
Right,
a samurai. You know what I mean? So
seriously.
So I took care of my guy. I took a second mortgage out of my house and paid my suppliers. But I was burnt, at that point. I had a good run, but I just wanted a break. I was tired.
Yeah.
So I moved back to Northern California, sold my house in Vegas, and just took a year off, honestly. Like I sold the business, basically my book of business, because what are you selling when you own a promotional company? You're selling your name and your goodwill, but other than that, you
sell your book.
No assets.
Yeah, no equipment, And I basically took a year off and hung out in Napa and just drank wine and relaxed and started getting bored. So a friend of mine had a screen printing company that did a lot of winery merch up there and asked me to come run a new company he just bought, an old company called Napa Valley Clothing Company. So I helped him get his production set up and a sales team and all that kind of stuff. And then somebody from Bodick and Rhodes, who was purchased by Alpha later, Laura Brewer, who's now a hard goods rep for Ariel, I think. She said, "Hey, have you ever thought about selling blanks?" I'm like, "Not really."
Yeah.
But I'm bored, so maybe
I
could try it. You know, she said, "I'm leaving Bodick and going to the hard goods side, but they're looking for an apparel rep." So I sent my resume, and they were like, "Well, you're way overqualified.
You got some experience here."
But we'd love to hire you if you're interested in the job. And so it was all of the Bay Area, all Northern California. And I took the job with Bodick, and I was their longest tenured rep they ever had in Northern California. I still hold the record since they got sold to Alpha, so nobody else
made it.
So I did that. And at the time, Next Level Apparel was really coming on. Really coming on. And Bodick was the sole distribution for Next Level at the time. So I met with Eric and Joe, and Mark Seymour at the time was the director of sales there, CEO, whatever his title was. But he said, it was weird because it was at a sales meeting at Bodick, and he kind of cornered me and he said, "Are you Tim Gibson?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're the guy selling all the Next Level up in Northern California?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You should probably come work for us." I said, "Make me an offer," and so he did.
How many times have you said that term, make me an offer?
Right.
I mean, a lot. Still say it today until I got this job.
Exactly. Yeah, what a journey.
Make me an offer. Anyway, and that's where I met my wife, Melissa, today. Actually, we both worked at Next Level.
The dynamic duo.
Yeah.
If nobody knows this dynamic duo, they've been living under a press for a
Yeah.
And fortunate, I've just been fortunate. I've worked for really great companies and good brands, and then Bella Canvas recruited me, Danny Harris, to come be national sales manager at Bella Canvas. It's where I really started hanging out with you boys.
Which had an incredible run as
really
well.
Good run.
Yep.
Yeah, and just really, I can never say enough good things about that journey for me. Like Danny was an amazing mentor. The whole team over there, Megan, all of them. It was a great job. But I was again at a ceiling, and I'm always hungry. I always want more.
That damn ceiling,
Right.
Damn.
doesn't exist.
Yes. Yeah.
So what is it, since you had such a rich background, what is it in this new role at U.S. Standard, or what is it in the company that you felt was so compelling that you wanted to, move over to them? Because kind of U.S. Standard, not a Bella, right? Not a Next Level, not a Bodic, anybody like that.
Virtually unknown.
Yeah. What was the big draw?
Yeah. So it's interesting because I've seen so many startup brands over the years. You go to Long Beach and you see another booth, another brand. You're like, they'll be gone in a year. Because it's an expensive game to get into.
Yeah, inventory.
Yeah. And Joe Simzoli, he explained to me one time, he said, if you want to add a style, Tim, I'll add that style. But just so you understand, it costs me $1 million per SKU.
Yep.
Not just per style, but to make, if it's a new silhouette and I make it in 5 colors and 5 sizes, extra small through 3X, whatever, that's $1 million a SKU.
Yep.
So if you feel that confident the culture is going to buy this or whoever,
it's $5 million bucks for black, right? Yeah.
You better sell it. Otherwise, we're going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So, my first question with startups is, are you financed well? Are you willing to do what it takes to grow in this market?
Yep.
And I've seen them come and go. So when I met these two guys, Jacob and Sean are the partners, and I was introduced to them at ISS Long Beach, and they said, hey, we've heard a lot about you. We heard, I said, I'm not looking, and they said, yeah, well, just, stay in touch. I said, that's cool, and they stayed on me, they'd reach out like, hey, Tim, what's up, man, Like, wow, these guys are pretty tenacious. I said,
so they know how to close some deals themselves.
Yeah, and I was doing some stuff at Supercolor for a little bit, but for me, it just wasn't a good fit. I'm an apparel guy.
You're a garment guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I finally responded. I said, why don't I come meet with you guys in LA? Because if it's just like 2 guys on a card table in a warehouse full of PFD, I'm not interested.
Right.
There's 1 million of you,
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, come on out. We'd love to meet with you. So I went, and I toured the facility, and my mind was absolutely blown. So Sean, he's been knitting fabric for over 30 years for some of the biggest brands in the world. Amici, James Purse, Gucci, you name it. Right? We're talking high-end. Really nice stuff. And Jacob, he's been a brand guy. He's hip to what's happening, He's very street. They're so different, it's kind of funny because Jacob's kind of gangster, He wears the big heavyweight, like he's that guy.
Trendy.
I'm not that cool, you know what I mean? But, and Sean's he likes the high-end stuff too. Like he'd rather wear a 40 singles, than a 18 singles, 10-ounce T-shirt.
Yeah.
So I toured this facility and I saw the capabilities and the sewing lines, all state of the art. I've never seen anything like that. And I'm like, okay, this could be something. And so they wanted to start their own brand. He's been making fabric and they've been sewing for other brands, a lot of streetwear brands and music merch companies and such. But they wanted to build a wholesale collection. And that's what I do. I've been, again, very lucky to have a lot of great mentors along the way. Also president of sales, so I get to have say in everything. So the marketing journey, imagery, what we're making, the kind of relationships we form with people. That's big to have that kind of control when in the past it's been like, well, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Go push this.
Yeah, and I have a very specific aesthetic and vision for the brand, and they're behind that. To have ownership that's behind that and trust your opinion is big, and frankly, they're just fun.
That means a lot.
It does,
right?
Mm-hmm. You've been doing this long enough. Like we have, you want to have fun, right? Like it's still got to be fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have
Right?
to. How about the competitive landscape? We ask this question a lot because, whether it's the music industry or it's oversized heavyweight T-shirts, everyone's trying to get into the game.
Yeah.
And you with the experience that you've had with all of these brands, how do you stay competitive? How do you think you bridge the gap between what you're going to sell and how you get your product out there first versus all these other people that are on the same track, on the same road?
Yeah, that's a great question, Carlo, because obviously everybody's on the heavyweight train, right? And so to me, it's just another trend. Yeah, you and I talked about it. Like,
Yep.
ride that wave while you can.
Yeah.
Right. and you have to be conscious of what's on point right now, right? So you have to, but for us, again, being as vertical as we are, there's no one else that's doing what we are at the speed we're able to do it. And not just copying, like make it better, improve on it a bit. If it's a neckline or a cover stitch or whatever it is, make it better. And a lot of the silhouettes are so identical anyway. But I think that, the way you stand out is service for one. Being able to be
100%.
fast.
Yeah.
So simple, huh?
Answer an email.
Yeah, answer an email. Pick up the phone.
Let us know you're there.
So simple.
What a simple game.
That's your world, right? Like chasing constantly.
Yep.
So, and
Time
being
chase.
near shore, being USA made, and we're not cheap. We never will be, nor do we want to be. So speed is king, right? Especially
In tandem with that conversation, that question that Carlo asked, I'm wondering, okay, we got the battle of the heavyweights, that's going on right now. But what are you seeing over that horizon? What are you seeing that's going to be in the next product line? Look out, whatever, 18 months.
horizon, yeah.
Like 18 months. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I have a very good guess. I'm going to put it out there because if I'm right, I'm going to look like a genius.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, they're going to be like, Tim.
Well, it's on the internet, and we could always delete it.
Yeah.
But if you look at the trends we have been seeing in fashion, just in general, I believe that the rock and roll, like that style T-shirt is going to come back. A thinner neckline, shorter sleeve, right?
Yeah.
More of that.
Minerals
rock
and
stuff. Washes,
More
lot of vintage, obviously, And I hate the word vintage; it's so overused.
Yeah.
But it's true. There's I think that is and baby rib is coming back in a big way. More fitted again, totally opposite direction of oversized and heavyweight. I feel like that is the next thing.
Interesting.
And
How about as far as a U.S. based manufacturer? We pride ourselves in being a U.S. manufacturer as well, but not often, does the garment come from here. What is the company's positioning, or what is your thought process personally around what are the advantages to being, making the product here, cutting it, sewing it? I don't think anybody's so concerned about, where is the seed grown or anything like that. But say, knit, cut, sew, dye and wash. What are the advantages of doing it here?
Yeah, and there's a lot of greenwashing in our industry where it's like assembled in or
Right.
dyed and cut in.
Yeah, cut in, not even
sewn
assembled.
in,
US
sewn in.
facing.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a need. It's because of costs, right? It's expensive to do everything domestically. For us, it's without sounding cliche, it's creating jobs for Americans, like keeping our money here in the United States.
Yep.
And one of the things that I really respect about this brand is they're true craftsmen. They're artisans. Like these people have been making garments for 30 years, for huge brands. So our the stuff we do to them is really simple. You know what I mean? We don't do anything crazy from a silhouette or design standpoint. But they, there's something to be said for made in the USA. You know? And sadly, over the years, from cars to anything, we've just not been that good. So I would like to see textiles come back to the United States. I'd like to see more jobs come back to the United States. I think spending our money here in our own country is important.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Amen to that. We agree 100%.
Right?
Yeah, I heard this crazy thing about if we brought all the manufacturing back to the United States, then there would be a significant amount of inflation once again, because all the products that you would buy would then cost more.
Cost more.
And I felt like, but people would make more money because we'd be selling
Right.
products that.
It's secular.
Yeah, I really didn't understand. I didn't understand that comment. Maybe I'm not, much of a global
it's an
elitist,
argument. Yeah, it's an
either.
argument.
So
It is.
It's a take.
just a good old fashioned manufacturing fella. But I personally absolutely love seeing a product line at a show or a retailer that was cut and sewn and dyed and and then the
Everything.
decoration
And
and
printed.
the decoration and the finishing and the trucking, if that
Everything.
all happens within the US, there's something so special about that.
There is.
And it's even almost comical when a big artist or brand is like the American guy or gal or the American brand.
And the country music.
Yeah, it's like, hey, our company's called Good Old American, and we have these wonderful good old products from China. It's like, what happened there? So
Exactly. I'm with you. That's very hypocritical, isn't it?
well, hopefully that there is a trend, and that there's some great companies that are starting to make incredible products like U.S. Standard, that hopefully we can all support that trend in migrating whatever it is, if it's a 20% cost higher to make it 100% here in the U.S., but what was the value? The value far outweighs the 20%.
For sure.
Yeah, we did it to ourselves. I mean, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this importing thing has been going on for years. I mean, we drove the cost of a T-shirt down to $1 at one point. I
Yeah.
remember you could buy 99 cents for a Gildan 5000.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. I do
Slowly
actually.
going back that
I
way.
remember that as well. Actually,
Those were good days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Good old days.
Maybe.
You
Yeah.
get what you pay for,
Right.
And I mean, we're excited to be part of that. But it's going to take a lot. It is an election year. Everybody gets a little more patriotic this time of the year. And
It's good.
give me the made in USA, and then you give them the price. They go, never mind, give me the one from Honduras
Yeah.
instead.
Give me the cheap one. I have a quick question about leadership. So since now you're at the president level, I'm sure you have a team and someone with your experience throughout the years. I mean, such a special thing to be able to say Winterland and Bella Canvas in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Right? It's like somewhere along the way someone would have dropped out or switched careers.
Should have.
Should have, right? But then you come running right back. It's like this industry, once you're in, it's very hard
It's a
to leave.
vortex.
It's very hard to leave.
Yeah.
And even for us, Rich and I, we have almost 300 employees, right? And I'm
Crazy.
sure you guys have a huge team, and they're getting younger and younger,
Mm-hmm.
right? The staff is getting younger and younger. How do you keep them motivated? And how do you keep someone just understanding that this industry can be a career, right? And if anyone can say that, that's you. And Melissa, anyone that we have in this pod has made this a career. What advice would you have for the 22-year-old that's stepping into this industry, whether it's with their own brand, whether they're in the marketing department for a culture studio or an account manager, stepping into this? What advice would you have for them in starting a career in the merch industry?
Don't. Just kidding.
Run.
Just kidding. No. That's a great question, Carlo, because this is the kind of industry that you think you can get out of, or you think maybe you want to get out of, but you always end up back, and you got to love it. Like, I think we all love what we do. I mean, we have fun, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just not the coolest industry to be in. Like,
Yeah.
What else
so
would we
much
do?
fun.
I don't know.
Yeah, what would you guys do?
What would we do?
What
We'd
would I
probably
do?
be under a viaduct somewhere drinking a 40 ounce, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
We might be cleaning boats
yeah.
at the harbor.
You never
That's-
know.
I don't know.
But it's interesting because people, I have people sometimes reach out to me when I do things like this and email me or text me, and they're people like, hey, I heard your story, and wow, what a cool career, and how do I start that journey? Like, you got to start the hard way. I started as a screen printer. I started cleaning screens and reclaiming and cleaning squeegees. It sucks. But that's how I started, and then I became a printer, and then printed on an auto, then head printer, then production. You just really got to love what you do, and believe in yourself. Be confident. I'm a perfect story. You guys are a perfect story. Like, I didn't have the greatest childhood. I'm not an Ivy League college guy. I went to the the School of Hard Knocks, and I just believed in myself. And you've got to have that mentality, right? And you really can do anything if you set your mind to it, right?
Got to take some swings.
Yep.
You do, and
Right.
some black eyes. You
black
gotta
eyes.
take some punches along the way.
Yeah. And that's I think what we have to do to try to lead, because you just said Hard Knocks. I think we came from the same school, and nowadays not a lot of people are coming from that, right?
No.
So how do you still train that and teach that and let them know that don't just give up? When it gets hard,
Lean
in the
in.
second quarter, lean
Lean
in. And there is sunshine on the other side. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. You're in town for ASI show.
Yeah.
You guys exhibiting there?
We are not. We did not get in time to get a booth at the show.
When is the next exhibit? Will you guys going to be at
ISS
Long?
Fort Worth.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
you're going to be there.
That's kind of our coming out party, so
Okay.
to speak.
Okay.
And,
Nice.
yeah, like I said, it's a new brand to this space, and we got a lot of work to do, you guys. You know,
Yep.
like it's not
not gonna be easy.
overnight.
Well,
you
Yeah.
know, like-
Well, we can attest that we're working on a project right now.
how many
and
years
really-
you guys been in business now?
16.
16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, if you're checking out Fort Worth, or I'm sure every
Beach.
show after that, Michelle also will lay over some really cool product shots of some of the stuff that U.S. Standard has made. But you guys can reach out to Tim very easily across the board. What's the best way?
Email,
LinkedIn.
Tim at usstandard.com, LinkedIn, our website. Yeah, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
Sweet. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming to
Thanks.
Chicago.
Good to see you guys.